Good morning. I am Alyssa Jade Lumaday, and I will be your reporter for the day. But before we start, let us have a prayer um, through audio-visual presentation.
Let us bow our heads and put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering all of us today. May you bestow your guidance and blessings so that we can enjoy and appreciate its significance in our lives. Bless everyone who are present here today, that each one of us may be able to share our knowledge, understanding, and wisdom for your glory and honor. May the various activities related to this event be a success through your intervention. We all ask of this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Now let's proceed to the proper lesson, which is problem identification and significance. So I will be discussing to you about the significance of the study and also the hypothesis formulation. So by the way, again, I am Alyssa Jade Lumaday, and I am your reporter. So now let's proceed to what is the meaning or what is significance of the study. So when we say significance of the study, it is a written statement that explains why your research was needed. It is also a justification of the importance of your work and its impact to the research field. So the significance of the study is a section in the introduction of your thesis paper. So the purpose is to make clear why your study was needed and specific contribution your research made to further academic knowledge in such or in the field. So in the significance of the study, the purpose of this is to state why is it needed or why your study is important. Okay, so here are some reminders. Okay, remember that the significance of the study must be stated in the introduction section of your research paper. So it must be in the introduction. So makita na dito sa introduction, why is it important to conduct this study? While stating the significance, you must highlight how your research will be beneficial to the development of science and the society. Next, why is the significance of the study important? The significance of the study, also known as the rationale of the study, is important to convey to the reader why the research work was needed or why it is vital. Your academic writing should make clear. It must be clear, concise, and emphasize to the readers the significance of that research that you perform and the contribution and the benefits of that research in the society. Okay, here is the steps on how to write the significance of the study. First is make your research problem your starting point. So in a research, kinakailangan that there is a certain problem. So that certain problem will be your starting point or your guide for you to make the significance of the study. So it is said here that the problem statement can reveal information about the outcome of your research study and who will benefit from it. Example, okay, here is some of the questions. How will the solution to the research problem be beneficial? This will give you an idea of how valuable it is to conduct your research. Next step is to describe how your research will add to the existing body of knowledge in the field. Consider the areas that previous studies should have covered. Then, explain how your research addresses those unexplored areas. Next to that is you need to describe how your research will help the society. So it must be beneficial not only for yourself, but also it has benefits and impact in the society. It can help address the problems in your society. So here, explain how your research will benefit the society. Consider how the findings of your research will affect your community. And number 4, using the same mention the specific people or organization will benefit from your research. Using the same example as before, this study's finding will help people look for an alternative supplement to prevent um, high blood glucose level. So in the examples stated here that there is specific people or organizations. So for example, those organizations, DOH, okay, they are the one who like give you ideas on how to prevent glucose level. So you need to mention those organizations that that is beneficial in your research. Next is indicate how your research will aid future studies in the field. So you must also specify how your research will be incorporated into the literature of the field you are researching and how it will benefit future researchers. So dapat your research must be um, magamit siya ng ibang mga researchers in the near future. Next is write it from general to particular. Determine the specific contribution of your thesis study to, to the society as well as to the individual. Write it deductively starting from general to specific. Start your significance of the study broadly, then narrow it down to a specific group or a person. Okay, so that will be the on how are you going to write the significance of your study. So in general, the significance of the study can be assessed based on several factors. So it includes originality, practical relevance, theoretical contribution, methodological rigor, and social or cultural impact. So in the originality, so it must be the study advances existing knowledge or introduces new ideas and perspectives. So it must be original and it must introduce new knowledge or new ideas. Next is practical relevance. The potential implications of the study for real-world situations such as improving policies or practice. So it must be practical and people can relate to it. Yes, it must be in a real world scenario. Next is the theoretical contribution also can help you in writing the significance of the study. Next is the methodological rigor, the extent to which the study employs appropriate and robust methods and techniques to generate reliable and valid data. Next is the social or cultural impact, the potential impact of the study on society, culture, or public perception in a particular issue. So we have here tips on how are you going to write your significance of the study. So the tips and warning. First is be proactive. Seeing your study's final form will help you make connections and determine who will benefit from it. Next is use concise language. Put in the effort to make it straightforward so that your readers can fully grasp the significance of your findings. Make it shorter and wordly. So it must be concise, it must be like easy to follow, easy to understand, and straightforward without like flowering words. So it must be a concise or straightforward. Next is, again, use a general to specific progression. Like an inverted pyramid, you start from above by discussing the general contribution of your study and become more specific as you go along, discussing the benefits to society, the educational institution, and also the learning facilitators. So you must be from broad to specific. Next is, if you need assistance, look for it. So the example is you may ask your research advisor for insights on how your research may contribute to the existing literature. If you know what to ask, your research advisor will be able to point you in the right direction. So if you have difficulties in writing your research, you need to ask questions, for example, on your research advisor or your statistician if you have questions about a certain topics. Next is revise, revise, and revise. Be ready to apply necessary changes to your research, whether it's the respondents or the variables involved in your study. Unexpected things will require adaptability. Never think you've finished a project until you've checked off every last box and made sure it's perfect. So in writing a thesis or a research, you need to revise it. You are open for changes. Okay, there are mga necessary changes along the way in your research. So you need to open up on whatever changes. You need to revise. Next is, okay, here are some examples of the significance of the studies. Okay, first is the significance of the study in a research paper. So the significance of the study in the research paper, the research paper refers to the importance of relevance of the research topic being investigated. It answers the question, why is the research important? The highlights the potential contributions and impacts of the study. So first is the importance of the research problem. This describes why the research problem is worth investigating and how it relates to existing knowledge and theories. So next is the potential benefits and implications. So in potential benefits and implications, this explains the potential contributions and the impacts of research on theory, practice, policy, or in the society. Next is the originality and the novelty. This highlights how the research adds new insights, approaches, or methods to the existing body of knowledge. And last is the scope and the limitations. This outlines the boundaries and constraints of the research and clarifies what the study will and will not address. In a study, it must have this following. So I have here an example of a significance of the study and research paper, which is entitled Effects of Social Media Use in the Mental Health of Adolescents. It was written by Muhammad Hassan, 2023. So here is his significance of the study. So the present study is significant because it addresses a pressing public health issue of the negative impact of social media use on adolescent mental health. Given the widespread use of social media among this age group, understanding the effects of social media on mental health is critical for developing effective prevention and intervention strategies. So what is the contribution of the study? So it is said here that this study will contribute to the existing literature by examining the moderating factors that may affect the relationship between social media use and mental health outcomes. It will also shed light on the potential benefits and risks of social media use for adolescents and inform the development of evidence-based guidelines for promoting healthy social media use among this population. So, as I said earlier, that the significance of the study must have the scope and limitations. So here, the scope and limitations of this study is the limitation of this study includes the use of self-reported measures and the cross-sectional design, which precludes causal inference. So as you observe in this example that it's stated here why it is important to study this issue, which is the mental health or the effect of the social media in the mental health of adolescents. It is or it has also have a contribution to the society, not just for the individual and also for the society. So there is example of their contribution. The existing literature examines moderating factors that may affect the relationship between social media and the mental health outcomes. So I have also here another example pa rin, which is sa thesis naman ito. The title is The Artificial Intelligence in Healthcare. So here is the significance of the study. With the increasing availability of healthcare data and the development of advanced machine learning algorithms, AI, or the artificial intelligence, has the potential to revolutionize the healthcare industry by improving diagnosis, treatment, and patient outcomes. Therefore, these pieces can contribute to the understanding of how AI can be applied in healthcare and how it can benefit patients and healthcare providers. And another thing there is AI in healthcare also raises ethical and social issues such as privacy concerns, biases, in algorithm, and the impact of healthcare jobs. By exploring these issues in the thesis, it can provide insights into the potential risks and benefits of AI in the healthcare and inform policy decision. Finally, this thesis can also advance the field of computer science by developing new AI algorithms or techniques that can be applied to healthcare data, which can have broader applications in other industries or field of research. Okay, so here the significance of the study. It is said here the contributions, the benefits, why it is important to study AI intelligence, AI in healthcare. So next is another example of a research proposal entitled The Effects of Gamification in Learning Programming, a Comparative Study. So here is the significance statement. This proposed study aims to investigate the effects of gamification of the learning programming with the increasing demand of computer science professionals. Programming has become a fundamental skill in the computer field. However, learning programming can be challenging and students may struggle with motivation and engagement. Gamification has emerged as a promising approach to improve students' engagement and motivation in learning, but its effects in programming education are not yet fully understood. This study is significant because it can provide valuable insight in the potential benefits of gamification in programming education and inform the development of effective teaching strategies to enhance students' learning outcomes and interest in programming. So in this examples that is written again by Muhammad Hassan, 2023, it is stated here why it is really important to, or what is the effect of gamification, okay, in the lives of not just an individual, but also in the life of the student. So maybe it can have the improvement of students in programming education. So next is, okay, another example. This study is about the teaching style. So here is the significance of the study. The findings of this study were renowned to the benefit of the society, considering that mathematics play an important role in science and technology today. The greater demand for graduates with mathematics background justifies the need for more effective, life-changing teaching approaches. So in this study, the significance of this is it will state that the importance of um, the role of science and technology to the graduates. Okay, so that is for the significance of the study. And now let's proceed to the hypothesis formulation. Okay, in hypothesis formulation, any hypothesis test starts from formulating the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. So this section focuses on hypothesis test for one population mean. However, the general procedure applies to any hypothesis test. Okay, the null hypothesis for a hypothesis test concerning a population mean. So is expressed. So we have here like a formula on how are we going to have or to know the hypothesis in a study. So the formulation of the alternative hypothesis depends on the purpose of the hypothesis test. There are three ways to formulate an alternative hypothesis, and it is according by Wies 2010. So number one ways to formulate an alternative hypothesis is first, if the hypothesis test is about deciding whether a population mean, so this is the like symbol of mean, is different from the specified value, the alternative hypothesis is expressed as, ganito yon, iyahang ang formula. Next, hypothesis formulation. Hypothesis formulation it is the process of creating possible tentative solutions, explanation for a given set of information, study, or research. The whole process of creating and formulating the hypothesis. First is the observation. Next is the hypothesis formulation. And next is the hypothesis testing. First, in observation, you need to see or you need to have like an evidence for you to formulate the hypothesis. Then you need to test if that hypothesis is true or not. Next is how is hypothesis formulated and tested? Okay. So in making statistical data, hypothesis formulated and tested by having a statistical analysis test by measuring and examining a random sample of the population being analyzed. So meron po tayong mga statistical tool to use para malaman if the result of our hypothesis. For example of that is the SPSS, the INNOVA. So that is mga statistical tools that is being used in having or the hypothesis. Okay, for my implication, I have learned that it is really important to have or to know the significance of the study. So I have learned that significance of the study should spark the interest of the reader. Readers will be able to appreciate the researchers' work and understand the relevance or the potential impact why a certain researchers study that problem. So it is the significance of the study is a critical document clearly so that the reader should know and understand very well your research or your thesis. You can also start general purpose or like specific purposes why would you study that certain problem. So there are so many importance of the significance of the study also. So I have learned that first is that it shows the benefits as well as the advantages of expanding your study. It also have or it contains the contribution of the study, not just for you or for the individual, but also it contributes to the society. Then, in the significance of the study, it also contributed or answer why the study is really important for the future researchers. So, pwede magamit ang kana na thesis or kana na research paper in the near future or uh, in the next generation. And it has impact the other studies, right? It must be related or it must be connected to the other studies. Significance of the studies also is written so that the reader, okay, again, it is really important. It is the proof the study is really beneficial and worth it for the effort and the time. It can be based on the statement of the problem, wherein you can get ideas on how to write the significance of the study in your thesis. It also illustrates the contribution of, of the study in the society and provides information on how the project or research contributed to the present generation and how it impacts or it connects to the related studies. So that is my implication. So it is really important that in a research proposal, thesis, the significance of the study. And for the hypothesis formulation, for my learnings in the hypothesis formulation, we must use statistical tools, to gain better understanding on the data that is being presented. It is really important to have that. But with the help of those tools, like PSS or Innova or other statistical tools, it can make our study more easier to interpret. So that is for the hypothesis formulation. So I hope that everyone everyone gain additional knowledge about my presentation. And for the quizzes, I will be posting a Google form for you to answer there. So here are my references. So the e-learning project was developed by the Department of Earth Science by Antoinette Rudolph, Joachim Croix, and Kai Hartman. The top-notch PH